This is a massive turnip. Such a great harvest from the garden this week. The brassicas, now that it's getting a little bit colder, we've had like consistent chilly weather for the past at least week. And now that it's a little bit colder, the brassicas are just loving life, and they look so amazing, so healthy, so like sturdy and strong. And I'm just so excited because if you've grown kale before, or any type of brassica basically, you know that they just get better in the cold weather. Even if they get hit with like frost, a lot of times that makes them much sweeter. It kind of like releases the sugars in them. I'm so excited for brassica season. I've been eating the collards. I'm pretty sure they're collards that I planted. I can't think of what else it would be because it's definitely a brassica. I was a little like losing my mind in the time that I was planting. So I actually like don't know a lot of what I planted, and a lot of it was a surprise, and things weren't labeled, and like it was basically all a mess, but like a happy mess because I got produce out of it. But that's one of those that I thought was kale coming up, and then it's sort of morphed into this like mammoth brassica leaves, and I haven't grown collard greens in a couple years, so I don't know if that's what those were. I'm just gonna assume they were, and they're really good. I've been having them in my eggs every morning, along with another variety of kale that I picked, which I think, again, I didn't label it, but I think it's Siberian kale. I've never grown that variety before. It's very cold hardy, as you could imagine from the name. It has a really pretty, like, kind of frilly look to it. So I really like how it's looking now that it's at like a more mature size. The squash that you saw me harvest, I have literally no idea what happened there. I planted a whole bunch of a mix of kabocha squashes and then some butternut squashes. Again, labeled none of it. I just did like a squash mix. They were really slow to germinate because I did everything in cold frames outside, and this is the first time I've done this. So I wasn't sure on timing. Like I said, I was kind of losing it, so I just did whatever. They took a really long time, so I re-sowed on top of them saved pumpkin seeds. In my mind, I thought I was planting seeds that I saved from like a very typical jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. I don't know if this happens, like if squash readily sort of self cross-pollinates. I have no idea what these squash are. They are all different. I got 2 kabocha squashes that I think for the first time I've experienced squash vine borers. And so a lot of them just like, it was almost seemingly overnight, the vines literally just all died. So those squashes were a no-go. Some of the other ones were fine, but again, like I said, I have no idea what they were. They almost look like a cross between a pumpkin and a spaghetti squash. I gave some squash plants to my neighbor at the beginning of the year. I was just talking to her the other day, and she said they harvested the zucchinis I gave them. I was like, I didn't give you any zucchinis. And she said they were big, like kind of roundish yellow zucchinis. So that's how she was describing them. I really don't know. And then I have some that are growing. I have like a few traditional pumpkins growing, but they're very long. And I don't know if that's because I'm doing them on trellises for the first time. If gravity is like pulling them, stretching them, is that a thing? And then some that are just starting to mature right now, and they look like they're white. Like it's a mess. I have no idea what's going on. I'm growing some really weird squash this year, but we did eat one of them, the one that we harvested in this video, and it was good. It was like nothing to write home about. I'm really partial to acorn squash, and I never grow it. I don't think I've ever grown acorn squash. I've grown, it feels like, just about every other type of squash and pumpkin, and I really love acorn squash, and I have never grown it. Yeah, I think that's the garden updates. I wanted to update you on some other things, if you would indulge me. I have recently been getting into my summer kick of knitting because every summer it feels like I want to establish my habit of knitting. I know I said this in another video before. I want to establish the habit so that I'm ready and in it for when the weather's cold and I can actually use the things I'm knitting. So in my adorable knitting bag, can we appreciate how cute this is? I got sucked into an Instagram ad. Well, actually, I didn't get sucked into it. I sent it to my boyfriend and he gave this to me for a Christmas present like a couple years ago. I just absolutely love it, and I've dedicated this to be my knitting bag, and it makes me so happy looking at these frogs every time I look at my knitting. I finished half of a project that I'm really, really jazzed about. I have a really sort of extremely basic understanding of knitting. I've never really made anything that I'm extremely happy with, aside from, for the first time last year, I made a little neck scarf and then a triangle headscarf that match in like a really pretty green wool, and I love those. I wore them all the time. But that's honestly it. Like, that's what my skill level could kind of handle at the time. So I was really excited because recently I taught myself how to do a 2x2 rib, also how to change colors and do stripes. I have a very specific style of learning things. I have to like pick up something super quick and just add that to my arsenal and have it work right away for me to really like feel encouraged to keep going. I don't have very good like tenacity when it comes to a really large learning curve, so I like to have these successes that are like quick hits almost. So if you're like that, if you can do a knit and you can do a purl, but you're like struggling where to go next and you want to do something that looks a little bit more in depth and you want to try a 2x2 rib, I wanted to start with a pair of leg warmers. So that's actually the original tutorial that I looked for, and I'll link the one that I found down below if you're looking for a project that's like so beginner friendly but maybe adds just like another skill onto what you already have. I'll link it, and I basically just used the exact same stitch count as that video for both this scarf I'm going to show you and then the other project. So this is what the 2x2 rib looks like in this really gorgeous white wool I have. I love it. I love the texture that the rib gives this and like the weight that it gives the scarf. So this is my progress so far. I have like maybe 12 inches done and I need this to be a very long scarf. So my goal is to have this done by November 1st, because October is not really scarf weather anyways, so it's kind of fine. But I think November 1st, I want it done by then. I think that's a realistic timeline. We'll see if I can get it done. A scarf I feel like seems pretty simple and straightforward and like, dare I say, quick, but it's not. It's actually so much knitting over and over and over again to get a scarf that's long enough. As soon as I learned the ribbing, I was like, I need to learn how to incorporate 2 colors into this because that would make my day. Originally, I wanted to try like the brioche style where the stripes are going this way. I tried to look up a tutorial for that and it was like clearly way beyond my skill level, so I just stuck with horizontal stripes. What I did was I used the same number of stitches from that one just to not have to kind of scale anything, and then I just downed my needle size to make it a little bit of a tighter fit. I made these, well, it's gonna be these, but currently it's this fingerless glove. So it's literally just a tube of the 2x2 ribbing that I seamed together here. It doesn't look amazing, but you know what, whatever. And then I just left a hole there and kind of stitched around it to finish the edge off, and it looks like this on, and I love it. I didn't count. I'm not very good at counting rows because I'm still trying to get used to what individual stitches look like in knitting, but I will say doing the ribbing, like having to do knit knit, purl purl, and kind of correspond them onto each other on each row has helped me immensely in being able to decipher how many stitches, like how much space a stitch takes up, if that makes sense, and to like decipher between one stitch and another. So I'm getting better at it going horizontally, but vertically counting rows I still get like a little bit intimidated by because it just all seems to like blend together in my mind. But this has been helping me get used to it. that being said, I didn't do even stripes because I didn't want to count my rows as I go, but I thought it could be fun for something like this. Like, it's just a fun little accessory and like a little statement sticking out of your sleeve or something. So I went with random rows, and then I'm gonna do the other one in the same two colors obviously, but I'm gonna do the pattern also random. Or I might even try to kind of reverse it. So this one starts with gray at the bottom and ends with the green. I might flip it the other way and just kind of do like sort of roughly space them out like this. But yeah, that is my fingerless glove. Currently just one glove, but this actually didn't take too much time of concentrated effort, and I'm really happy with it. This is like the most advanced techniques I've ever incorporated into a knitting project. Unfortunately, this yarn is kind of tied up at the moment, but I know I will have leftover of this gray wool, and I think it would be really gorgeous and like a very thin stripe, but evenly spaced stripes. Maybe I can accomplish that with like 2 rows of each, would be easy to keep track of gray and white, possibly in a fingerless glove as well. I think would be really pretty. One of my favorite bookstores ever. An amazing used bookstore. I love it so much. I always find books I've been wanting to read there. I kind of have a running list of books that have become very popular that sound interesting and I really want to read, but I'm waiting until they kind of do a circulation on people's bookshelves and end up at the thrift store until I buy them. This bookstore always has a really good selection of those books that have like previously been pretty popular that I want to read. And I always buy one. So anyways, I picked up Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This was in the window, which is what drew me into the store, and I snatched it right up out of her display, and I'm so excited to read this. If anyone has read this and knows, like, is this a good fall time book? Let me know. If you don't know anything about this book, I think this is a YA fantasy, and it takes place in a world that is at war. The main characters are journalists at a newspaper, and basically I believe the main girl in this thinks she is writing letters via a magical typewriter to her brother who is at war, I think. Little does she know she's actually writing letters to like her arch nemesis. Her brother's missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door, where they vanish, into the hands of Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. Very excited about that one. And then last night, recently, I downloaded the app Fable, and I'm so excited about it because I just feel like it's a great way to organize all of the books that I have on a running list in my mind and like try to keep in a folder on my desktop. But I don't like that format because it doesn't feel as easy to navigate. And Goodreads, I use Goodreads to read reviews, but sometimes I really hate Goodreads reviews like so much, and I almost can have the habit of like ruining a book I'm reading by going to the Goodreads reviews when I'm still in the middle of it and then letting them sway my actual opinion of the book. Sometimes I like reading to just feel like a bit more of a private experience, and then maybe like way down the line read the reviews. So anyways, Fable, similar to Goodreads, helps you keep track of like what you're reading, what you want to read, kind of like statistics of what you have read. But I just like the format so much more now that I've started using it. And they also have options for select books. It's definitely not all of them, but some books to read samples. So I was laying in bed last night thinking about what I wanted to read next, because I do want to start a physical book because I'm in the middle of 2 on my Kindle right now, and I didn't want to get up and walk down the hall because I was already cozy in my bed to where my books are. So I knew I had this book that I just picked up the other day, and I was just like being drawn to it, feeling like this is what I should read right now. It is The White Hair by Jane Johnson. Look at the cover. Isn't that so pretty? And so I looked it up on Fable and they had a sample of it. So I read 4 chapters in my bed last night, and then when I woke up this morning I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna grab this book and read it because I absolutely loved the way it was sounding. We've got a seaside cottage in Cornwall. We've got a kind of creepy hare, like the animal. We've got 3 generations, a grandma, a mom, and a granddaughter. We've got Polish folklore and superstition. We've got renovating, a guest cottage, seaside. There's a dead body in the first chapter, which got me. There's also one illustration, or is it a photo, at the front of this of like seemingly a portal. The blurb on the back of it, when I picked this up off my shelf the other day, was what made me feel like this is the exact perfect book for this transitional time of year. Late summer, leaning into fall a little bit, but not quite. It says, in my mythical bookshop, this would be in the books that remind you of the true meaning of reading for pleasure section. It's mythic, witchy, and full of mystery and romance. It sings of an earth alive with power. Mythic, witchy, mystery, romance. That's my favorite kind of book, those things together. So I'm so excited to start this. It feels very like eerily cozy, which is my genre. I love it. And this was one of those by chance just good thrift store finds. On my Kindle right now, I am reading Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid and Days at the Murasaki Bookshop is what I currently have by Satoshi Yagisawa. This morning I woke up extra early and I was just sitting here with my coffee reading this book as it just started to get like so cute and we started to really get into the crux of the story. This is a good comfort read for fall. I can already tell. And it started to turn into autumn in the book this morning when I was reading, with the breeze coming in my window, with my coffee warm in my duvet, with the cats. I was so happy. This is a very good comforting read, especially if you're like kind of at a place in life where you feel like your life is crumbling, which is where I'm a little bit at. So something like this, I love it. Juniper and Thorn is crazy, batshit opposite. I really liked A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, and I wanted to try one of her like adult fantasies. It's pretty dark. There have been moments where I'm like, what is this? Where's this book going? And had to like look up trigger warnings. But actually it's developing into something I really like. I think it might get even like more weird and gross. I'm not sure. I'm 26% through and I'm 38% through Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. So basically I started that book because I needed something to bounce to on the other end of the spectrum when I don't want to be in like a dark place. But I love Ava Reid's writing. So those have been my word vomiting at you ramblings about the things that I've been up to. Also, if any of you from the previous video have made it this far who commented, thank you. For a small YouTuber, you don't understand how encouraging that is to get a comment that says, I'm so happy that you're back or posting again, because I have not made videos in a very long time, so it kind of just started to feel like some fake thing that never happened, and I was feeling very existential about it and not really wanting to post again. So thank you so much if you commented. I know there was a few of you who did. If you know, are enthusiastic about these videos, do we like these just like vlogs where I talk about the like things I've been making and reading? Do we like that? Let me know. as soon I literally get the slip knot done, look who comes. He was in another room. He heard me make a slip knot.